Welcome to the Sales Sense Reality Show. I've created this show with you in mind, a way for sales reps to share with other sales reps their successes. And I'm really excited to have Dan O'Leary from Linkware on with us. He's a vice president with Global Solutions, and he's a technology and sales channel management professional with Linkware. And that's a leading provider of electronic forms and document assembly solutions. With sales experience spanning 4 continents, direct and channel sales, on-site telephone, and over the web, he has a unique philosophy on communicating with customers and vendors, and he has spoken at conferences all over the world on topics relating to content management and technology adoption. I encourage you to join him on Twitter. His handle is twitter.com, Dan K. O'Leary. And without further ado, I welcome Dan. So, hello, Dan. How are you today?
I'm doing really good, Mike. Nice to talk to you this morning. And hi, everyone. Thanks for the introduction, and I'm really excited to share some things with you and your listeners.
Yes, thank you. Just give a little bit more background on Linkware and kind of what you're trying to accomplish on that, and a little bit more about your background and what makes you unique in your selling, proposition.
Sounds good, Mike. Well, Linkware is a unique company. What we do typically for salespeople is help them automate the process of making contracts, sending RFP responses, generating quotes, getting customers registered, and it's an automated document assembly and form solution. And it's a product that I've been selling and working with for the last 2 years. And we've sold it now on pretty much every continent except Antarctica. And it's a really great tool. So I'm a lucky enough salesperson that I represent a product that I believe in, and it's something that I had always wanted to use. So personally, it's great to represent a product that you believe in, and it's kind of universal. We really enjoy sharing it with people, since everyone has forms, everyone has paper, and especially as salespeople, we all have to send quotes and proposals and sign up customers. So my experience has been working primarily through a reseller channel. So we sell to a third party, a partner who then resells it to their own customers. And typically they have their own geographic and vertical specialization. So some days we'll be working extensively with our partners in Asia or India, and then other days we'll be working back here in North America. So it's a kind of get to see everything and experience a lot of different places and people and cultures and ways of doing business and selling it. Certainly given me a unique perspective, especially when it comes to coming home and selling it in America, about how to do things differently and learning from that experience of selling internationally.
Absolutely. The global front, as you know, is totally different. Can you share with some of the listeners in different countries that you've been that would not be acceptable here but is acceptable there, or vice versa?
So I'm just going to assume we don't have any FBI agents or anything listening, but I was working in a communist country last year. I'm not going to mention any specific names, but when the attendees, we were at a major presentation with communist generals and officials, and as they all filed in, they were handed an envelope full of cash, which was their bribe money. Not by me, but at least they keep it, open. Here in North America, we do things like dinners and spiffs and things, but there's no hiding it. You walk in and you get handed an envelope full of cash. So that would never fly here, but it certainly made me appreciate how open and transparent the sales process here is.
That's for sure. And definitely ethics has been on the forefront of all the papers recently, and that type of behavior obviously does not go on as much as it probably did in the past. So, but I'm sure it still goes on in some form. What is your ideal target client, or what's a great target for you to talk to, or a prospect to start the sales process?
So our prospecting is kind of unique since we are channel focused. So for listeners out there, what that means is we typically sell through a reseller. I'm sure many of you are in a similar role. So what we try to do is align ourselves with our partner's existing client base. The easiest sale to make, especially for a new partner, is typically going to be to an existing customer. So when they get signed up with us to resell our products, normally it's because there's already some interest from one of their existing prospects. So what we try to do from a marketing and really sales plan standpoint is align ourselves with our reseller strong points with their existing customers, at least initially. Obviously, a warm market is going to be better than a cold market. So that's really the type of customer we go after is our VARs feel most strongly about. Now, for eForms in particular, certain industries and horizontal solutions are going to be more important than others. So a lot of my time is spent working with C-level or department-level managers or IT managers across the government, financial services, healthcare, and then into departments like human resources, contracts, and legal. So in any given day, we might go from talking to a big bank in Canada to a government in Australia to a 3-person attorney's office in Northern California, which can be fun to manage and it helps keep things interesting. No 2 days in our business are the same. So there's a lot of variety, Mike, in terms of who we're dealing with, what we're marketing to, and how we approach it. And we get to create really unique marketing strategies for all those different levels and verticals. So, it's given us a lot of experience really learning other people's businesses.
That's excellent. And as you mentioned in the beginning, that you have a 50% chance more likely of selling to an existing client. Yeah. One quick question here. Are your partners selling face-to-face or doing webinars or other selling 2.0 methods? And this is a question from Arthur.
Well, Arthur, it's a combination of both. So typically from a funnel standpoint, like myself and my team from the manufacturer standpoint generate quite a bit of leads. So we do events like this. We host our own webinar series. We're very active on social media, on YouTube, LinkedIn, things like that. So we cast a wide net to generate leads. And then traditionally, our partners will do a lot of face-to-face for at least the initial contact. So things like workshops and trade shows have continued to be effective. But generally, the first demos, at least once we get them qualified, are done via the web. It's a great way of doing a one-to-many, and sitting in my office, I can connect all over the world versus having to get on a plane. So from an efficiency standpoint, we really prefer to do as much as we can via the web. That being said, the reason we have local partners is they are able to go face-to-face and handle the close or any presentations that need to be done face-to-face. And the biggest tip I give you is go with what your customers are comfortable with. If they're an older mentality, then you're going to want to go face-to-face. If they're young, or vibrant, or really are embracing the new media stuff, then go with what they're comfortable with.
I think we're getting a little feedback here on the line. I don't know if you hear it or not. Do you, Dan?
Yeah, you might want to just mute your phone if you have another one.
That would be okay. Okay, so an excellent point there. I find that with today's busy schedule that it's acceptable to go to a webinar or a virtual appointment first, just to clarify the prospect a little bit more and give them a little bit more value before you sit in front of that prospect and have a one-to-one time. And at least that's where I see the general marketplace out there is going to. Is kind of a next step is a virtual appointment, and that's what is great about these GoToWebinar tools. It just makes the world your office, and it's a really powerful tool, and I'm glad to see that you're using that. So what kind of target client? We're always looking for that ideal client. I mean, how do you find your client? Is it by sales volume, employee size, or kind of give me the best of both worlds, or the perfect sales position?
Right. So we're fairly lucky in that the product we sell, eForms, is easy to find and offer typically all we have to do is go to a customer or prospect's website, go into their search box, type in forms, and you get hundreds of results. So, a great and typical client for us would be like a municipality or a government entity, because as all of us know, if the government has a form for everything, right? One of our customers is going to automate over 3,000 forms, the county. So they have forms everywhere. So how we qualify our prospects is generally just going on their website and seeing what departments are there, what forms they have, how they're being processed, and just pick up the phone and call them. It's pretty low tech, but it's easy to find those opportunities. And then once we identify one city or one company or customer in that industry, for example, like we have a couple school board accounts in the province of Canada, and we have 2 so far and another 68 to go. And now that we know what forms they use, what we're planning on doing is recycling that the same concepts to the rest of them. So we're all about finding something that works and figuring out how to templatize it and recycle it and reuse it as much as possible, so we don't have to go out and necessarily identify and qualify 100 different customers. We already know that there are 68 qualified prospects in that case ready for us to go, and now it's just a matter of the traditional sales process of getting introduced to them, which is typically going to be a combination of doing things like email blasts and then more traditional, going to conferences and workshops and getting introduced face-to-face to them to get this concept across, along with using our existing customers as much as possible to serve as reference points, provide referrals, and really become our best salespeople. We've been fortunate enough to never lose a customer, so everyone we have is referenceable and happy, and it's very, very easy for us to work with them to help us generate the business. Our customers are, especially in technology, will find your best salespeople, and making sure they're happy is going to help you fill that funnel and give you a bunch of referrals and really make sure you have a lot more qualified opportunities to work with. So the takeaway from this, guys, is once you figure out how to do it once, learn as much as you can what made that successful and recycle that as much as possible within that vertical or geography or whatever it is you're targeting.
Absolutely, and you bring up an interesting point there, and I think that makes you unique as well, is that you're able to give a free form out, and maybe you can expand a little bit more on how that becomes a general lead or starts the sales process, and then to get them involved. You kind of mentioned a little bit about going to a website, seeing if they have forms, and if you can provide any of your automation solutions. But could you go a little bit in detail about how someone could get involved with Linkware at a very low rate?
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. And I think, for everyone else on the call, this is important for you too, is while you can lead with your most expensive, flashiest product, a lot of the time it's easier to get your foot in the door before you rearrange the furniture. So, as a salesperson, I've always figured out what's the easiest way to get someone to write me a check, or how can we get set up as a vendor, get our software in, and get the process started. So we give away the lowest version of our product called Freeform. There's a couple, caveats to that, but essentially we have a tool that we can give away to any customer as long as their forms have a payment component. So we can go to a tiny city in North Dakota and set up the same technology that's going to be used by, a major customer. So no matter what their budget looks like, their IT staff, or their situation, typically we have a way to get them started. And it's interesting because although we can give it away, we generally don't very often. Normally we use it to get our foot in the door, get the meeting set up, and once we're there, once we're engaged in the discussion, we're able to introduce them to the rest of our product lines, and they quickly will qualify themselves for a much higher dollar value product. So for other salespeople, think about how you get in with your easiest, most turnkey product to at least get the meeting, get the appointment, and that's the tool that we use to let our prospects and customers qualify themselves for a higher dollar value product. So it's been really successful. And, if anyone after this has any questions about it, if you go to YouTube and type in LinkDoc, LINCDOC, there's about a dozen demo videos up there that explain this concept in 3 minutes or so. So if you're wondering, what I'm talking about when we're saying forms and things, just go watch it. It's a lot easier than reading about it, and I think you'll glean it. So that's another strategy we use, is putting things in a show not tell. It's really easy to send someone a brochure. You're just going to throw it in the garbage. We've been really successful in doing some of that, rich media marketing and showing people.
You hit the nail right on the head with me, is brochures. I love when a sales rep says, I sent a brochure or I did this. Honestly, that's just not going to get it done. There's so many brochures out there and things like that it's just, you're going to get lost in the haystack. So.
Yep, I know how that is. Like, we had one of our resellers, just a clip here, they were doing a workshop and wanted us to send them paper brochures, and the workshop title was How to Go Paperless. And we were trying to explain to them the disparity in mailing paper and handing it out at a paperless workshop, but they didn't get it. Yeah, I'm not a fan of brochures.
Yeah, classic. Well, you mentioned email blast, and I always get this question from clients too. Mike, we're thinking about doing an email blast. And actually, I had a prospect last week say we're going to spend $12,000 on an email list, and they're going to 27 times, et cetera, et cetera. And I wanted to get your feedback on that, and just from my point, well, how good can the list be if they were going to send it 27 times? And I just find that email marketing has gone down significantly because of the spam filters and the firewalls, et cetera. And I wanted to get your opinion. Is it working for you, and how is it working?
So it is working for us, and don't do those, spam, massive campaigns, because those don't work. So what we do is personalization. And, I'd say as much as possible, for my own email communications, I will write everything,
So even if it takes a little bit longer, it's all about the client experience. How can I make it personal? And if it takes an extra 2 or 3 minutes to type an email versus cutting and pasting, so be it. So, if you're doing one-to-one communications, cut out all the marketing BS, cut out all the template stuff, just write, communicate. Now, when we do larger blasts for our resellers and for ourselves, we use a service called MailChimp, which integrates with our CRM. So typically, we've been developing our lists from our own contacts, from trade shows we've attended, from lists that we've built. So it's not like we've gone out and purchased something. It's what we've organically grown and developed through our contacts. And then our resellers will provide us with their customer list. So when we have a partner in a geographic area that wants to introduce LinkDoc to their customers, they'll provide us that information. And then the email comes from them. So it's not coming from Dan O'Leary, a guy that they've probably never heard of or never met. It's coming from the sales rep that they've known and been working with and trust. It's a personalized email right to them. And as much as possible, we tailor the message to that customer and to our partner. So while it's still, going out to 400 or 500 people or more at a time, it doesn't feel like it. It feels like it was written and customized just for you. And we're seeing a much higher open and conversion rate. Typically, for the software industry, at least, the rate is going to be about 20% to open. That's the average. And most of our campaigns are north of 35 up to 40%. So we're seeing, double the results, sending the same types of emails just by personalizing it a little bit more. And we're not going to close, to be frank, I don't think we're going to close a lot of business from an email campaign. But what it allows us to do is get the conversation started. Especially in technology sales, the biggest hurdle is having a rep, after that email goes out, pick up the phone and call and follow up with it. And you're already fresh in the customer's mind, fresh in the prospect's mind, and you can give them, the next step. So if you wanted them to attend a webinar or attend a demo or, generate a quote, whatever that next step is, if you email, personalize it, and then follow up, do that extra step, you get a much better result than if you just, mass blast everyone and hope for that 1% conversion.
I agree 100% with you. So many sales reps do not pick up the phone. They're practicing call reluctancy, and they're just not picking up the phone. Send the email and do a quick follow-up call, just like Dan mentioned, and you will have success. Make that contact, because we're still all human, and we still have to have that relationship. There's no question about it. And going into the relationship, I know you're a big believer in social media. How are you using that to leverage future sales and kind of doing some personal branding out there?
Well, you nail it, Mike. It's all about, branding. And it's not just personal, but it's also company. And really what it comes down to is controlling the message. So when someone goes to Google or they go to YouTube or they go to LinkedIn, they search for me or they search for my company, how do we control that first page? Because if you don't, somebody else will. So we use the tools that are out there to cast a wide net, so that if you do search for us or you're looking for, the products and services we offer, how do you make sure that we're the first thing that comes up? So for us, it's about, first and foremost, and for other salespeople on the call, it's about, casting that wide net. But really, the value of it that we see is two-way communications. We pride ourselves on, if you email us, we respond. We respond as quickly as possible. If you call us, human answer the phone. And we use social media for the same thing. It's about having a two-way conversation with your customers, prospects, and other vendors that complement the market. And, we've signed up partners, and just came out of the blue because they saw us on Twitter. That's not a market that we're actively targeting to find resellers in, but they saw us on the internet. Now they're generating sales cycles and starting the process because they found us online. So it's tremendous, very powerful medium. I recommend if anyone wants to see how we do it, you can just search for LinkDoc on Google, and you'll get an idea. Now, the other thing we do, Mike, that I really like is personalized video demos. So we use a tool called Jing. It's free, and what we'll do, since we're a technology product, is put together a 2 or 3 minute video and upload it to YouTube, or just send the file to a prospect. And if you want to get their attention, you spend 3 or 4 minutes creating a customized demo for them and send it to them. They can sit at their desk, have a cup of coffee, and watch it. They can forward it to their colleagues, and we're seeing the success rate when we take the time to do that is unbelievably high, because people, they appreciate that you took the time to do it. So, if someone's worth that amount of time and they're qualified, do that extra effort using, some of these new media tools, and I think the response you'll get, I think, will be pretty amazing. It has been for us. So.
And Arthur has another question there. We're getting a little feedback here, but I muted the line. But the software is Jing.
Yeah, J-I-N-G.
J-I-N-G. And also Camtasia, if you wanted to buy a software, works well. But when I was presenting to CFOs, we would use this software called BrainShark, and you hit the nail right on the head, Dan. It's so powerful. In 2 or 3 minutes, at their leisure, they can see what you're about to sell them. I mean, it's a very powerful tool, and we all are visual learners in a way. We all started with coloring books, and it's a great way to get the basics out there, and then have them watch it whenever you want. That's just great to use that tool.
I'll give you another tip, too. So the other way we use it is after a big demo. So after, a major presentation, instead of just following up with a thank you, which you should do anyways, in that email or in the notes you provide, send a link to the video saying, hey, in case there was anyone who missed it or you want to review it, here's a 5-minute video of everything we talked about. Don't send brochures. No one's going to read them. But I guarantee you follow up like that after a presentation, the results will be very good. proven it, and for anyone that's listening, I highly recommend you spend the extra effort. Just ask yourself this question. Is the competition going to go above and beyond? If the answer is no, then by default you should, so you can differentiate yourself. I hate to be cliche, but in this economy, when things are tough, to be a successful salesperson, you can't just give 100%. You have to give an extra 10. Not an extra, 100. You just have to do a little more. That's all that separates first place from second place. If you're willing to go that extra step, put in an extra hour a day, or put in a half day on Saturday, whatever it is for you in terms of time and effort, if you do that, you will beat competition. You will separate yourself from other vendors, other facilities.
I 100% agree with you, and that's the difference that I believe it's made with me. It's just going above and beyond just a little bit, giving that 10% more, picking up the phone, working on the weekend or what have you. And if you're making these cold calls, or start after 5 o'clock, because more than likely a decision maker is not working a 40-hour week. They're working 60, 70-hour weeks. You make a call at 6 o'clock at night and they pick up right at their desk, you already have credibility in my mind, because you're already putting in more effort, and that prospect or client sees that effort.
Oh yeah, I've closed more sales. Like my number one time for closing sales is Friday afternoon, 2 to 6 p.m. on a Friday. I've closed more business than pretty much every other time combined, just for that reason, because that's when you get the decision maker on the phone. After everyone else is left for the weekend, that's when you get.
100% agree. Dan, we only have about 3 or 4 minutes left. Is there any closing advice for the listeners? And I encourage you to pop in any questions you can on the right there. You can type them in. And, Dan's a huge resource. And also I encourage you to reach out to him. He's on LinkedIn and Twitter, and start the relationship. He's just a fantastic person to know. And Linkware is an incredible company that you should be aware of, too, to make life easier and automate some of your sales solutions even. So,
well, I appreciate it, Mike. And, I'll give a tip that's something I evangelize on, and it's all about eating your own dog food, as they like to say, or, practicing what you preach. And I think for salespeople, this is really, really important. And it's that you need to use and love the products and solutions you work with. If you yourself, your own company, your own team doesn't use what you sell, then no customer will ever buy from you. And it's something that I've run into a few times in the last month or two, and it's almost common. And really believe in it if you yourself are not willing to be a customer of it. So in software, it's particularly relevant. A lot of what we do in technology is actually not selling technology. So, LinkDoc is a really powerful e-commerce solution. But at the end of the day, what we're doing is helping automate processes based on people and automate the actual underlying business. So the technology is just an afterthought. It requires having a deep understanding of what's going on and then wrapping the technology around that. So it's really important for us as salespeople to not only believe in what we sell, but also to use it. Again, it's kind of funny to see, and I know some of you are probably shaking your head, in your own department, you don't use or believe in the products that you sell. So if you're not willing to do it, then you probably shouldn't be selling it to the customer, and they'll see right through you. They'll know that if you don't have it, understanding. Now, the other thing that relates to is a learn by doing philosophy. So, the way I learn is not by, reading a manual for 6 hours or attending a training class necessarily. I like to just get hands-on with things as much as possible. And it's a lot easier to learn and speak knowledgeably about what you do and the solutions you represent if you use it yourself. So we make sure that all of our resellers know how to give demos of probably 15 different forms that we use commonly, and we use our own product. Even when it would be easier sometimes to use something else, we use that as a catalyst to improve our own stuff to make sure that we can use our technology as much as possible. So, the takeaway for you guys just to talk to think about is how can you learn by doing and at the same time create more of your own products and services to help you in the sales process.
Absolutely agree with that. You have to have passion. You have to believe in your product. Otherwise, your prospects see right through you. Well, thank you very much, Dan, for your time today. I've learned a lot. This recording will be available on salescentsolutions.com's website. I encourage you to join our mailing list, and I encourage you to reach out to Dan and just say hello. Next week, I'll have Rhett Van Scooter from Van Scooter Insurance Agency talking about insurance and all the trials and tribulations that an insurance broker goes through. And check me out on blogtalkradio.com/SalesSense. And also connect with me on Twitter, twitter.com/SalesSense. And also Dan has one too. I believe yours is twitter.com/Dan O'Leary.
Dan K. O'Leary. Someone had the O taken, so I had to use my full initial. Or you can always visit our website, linkware.com, and just choose contact. That email will eventually get to me. I encourage people to take a look at what we do. We've helped a lot of organizations, most people in particular, really streamline and automate the sales process. You can spend more time with prospects, less time doing people. That is a gift.
Yeah, absolutely. You always have to be in front. You want to increase sales, be in front of more people. Well, again, thanks for listening, and good luck to everyone on your next sales call, and have a great week. Bye.
Thanks, Mike.